As we know, the best kind of physical activity is the one that you'll actually do. So if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to continue to do it. And so you need to find something that you like to do, that's enjoyable, and that you can work into your lifestyle.
According to a K-State Research and Extension Family and Consumer Science Specialist and the state coordinator of Extension's Walk Kansas program, activity can be a big player in disease prevention, but it is also a big player in managing disease. On today's Sound Living, the benefits of participating in Walk Kansas's 8-week program, which encourages physical activity and healthy eating. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman. This year's Walk Kansas program begins on March 28th and runs through May 22nd. The state coordinator of Walk Kansas, Sharolyn Jackson, says that new features have been added this year to focus even more on physical and mental health. Sharolyn, Walk Kansas is about ready to start up again, and a lot of things in store for the Walk Kansas folks this year as well.
Yes, it's similar to what it's been in previous years. And so just a reminder that Walk Kansas is based on the physical activity guidelines for Americans. So the minimum amount of recommended activity through those guidelines is 2.5 hours of moderate activity per week. Moderate, as we've talked about before, is at a level where you can just barely carry on a conversation. If you can sing, you need to work a little harder. Moderate is really effective exercise. If you do vigorous activity, you can even get by with a little bit of less time for it to be just as effective. However, more activity is better. And so we really are trying to get people up to 4 to 5 hours of physical activity per week is really best. Our program is a team-based program. We have the same 3 challenges that we've had in the past. So the challenge 1 is where you're working to meet that minimum guideline of 2.5 hours per week. Challenge 2 is where everybody on the team commits to 4 hours per week. And challenge 3, they commit to 6 hours of moderate activity per week. So it depends on what your team wants to strive for. We do have something new this year in 21. We have added a solo trail. While we feel like the team participation is best because you have that support and encouragement from teammates, if the solo option works better for you, we do have a solo trail this year where you can go it on your own. And this solo trail starts on the Kansas State University campus and explores all kinds of points and areas through this part of the state and takes a very non-direct route down to Wichita State University. So this is a longer trail, and you just be working at whatever goal you set for yourself. But that's where the trail starts and ends. It connects the 2 universities, and we'll be adding some more trails in the future that are similar.
And then another focus this year is on chronic disease.
Exactly. We're going to take a look at some chronic diseases this year and how physical activity in particular can help you delay, prevent, and even manage those chronic diseases. Not necessarily just chronic disease or even chronic conditions. The first week, we're going to take a look not necessarily at a chronic condition, but just overall mental health. Because one of the very, I think, most positive things about physical activity is that you have immediate mental health benefits. Just getting out and getting a walk, doing some physical activity, you immediately feel that your outlook on life improves. You feel more energetic. You just have a little change of perspective. That can be an immediate change. So we want to jump right in and look at what's positive in week 1. And then we're going to look at some of these chronic conditions such as heart disease, osteoporosis and bone health, Alzheimer's and overall brain health, obesity, arthritis, diabetes, and cancer. So we'll look at physical activity and the relationship to those, and also diet and the relationship to those types of conditions too, again, for preventing, delaying, and also managing them.
And that'll be through the newsletters and weekly conversations?
They'll be through the newsletters, and then we're planning some virtual conversations, some content, but also some just discussion about how you can improve personal habits to have a positive impact on these situations. And so those will be done through Zoom like once a week throughout the program.
You'll use extension agents for that, or are you in charge of all that?
Well, some agents and some people outside our system, a lot of specialists that we hope to involve. We're still working on getting all of those set into place, but it'll be a variety of people that we can tap to talk about, again, things that are looked at in the newsletters, but going in a little more depth.
This is certainly areas that people are hearing a lot about and needing to focus on more. I think the mental health, especially in light of this past year, is something that everyone is more aware of. And the exercise, I think maybe people have started to realize that what we used to say, get your blood pumping, does have an impact. It does make a difference.
It does. And then we've seen people that have really increased their physical activity throughout this last year because of the pandemic. And then we also see those who have done the opposite. So we're really hoping that people have found ways that they can be active at home. If you can go to a gym or to a facility, that's great. But this past year, we've had to be adaptive, and I think a lot of people have figured out how to do that. There are also huge benefits to just getting outdoors and spending time outdoors, and I see a lot more people walking around Manhattan and in the community, and that's really great to see.
Yeah, once the sun comes out and the temperature starts to go up, it's like, oh, I can't wait. I got to get out there. And like you say, you don't have to be running. You don't have to be going at it at 100 miles an hour. All you have to do is just walk at a brisk pace.
That's right. And we also focus on ways to bring more movement throughout your day. You know, we've done such a good job of engineering the physical work and the physical activity out of what we do on a daily basis. So now we're really working hard to bring that back. So things like use a push mower to mow your lawn or doing a lot of your own activities at home. We have a lot of appliances or machinery that can do things for us, but think about what are those things that you can do kind of the old-fashioned way, I guess.
We're hearing a lot about Zoom fatigue, and I think everybody's pretty familiar with that. It's just one Zoom meeting after another. You're sitting at your desk or your table or something like that, and you're really not even getting that normal movement that you would have gotten at the office.
Right. I know that's been true for me because being on campus, I can walk from one place to another, but at home, I just walk from one room to another. So it's a lot more challenging.
Talk a little bit more about the just move your way. What are we kind of focusing on when we talk about move your way?
Move your way is kind of the slogan and the challenge through the physical activity guidelines and how they present the guidelines, so to speak. So move your way is really to say you don't have to do one certain thing, that any kind of movement can count. So while we have the Walk Kansas program, if you're not a walker, if you like to swim, for example, or you like to ride your bike, or you like to do some other kind of activity, that's perfectly fine because we ask our participants to log their minutes of activity, not their distance. And so it's finding something that works for you. As we know, the best kind of physical activity is the one that you'll actually do. So if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to continue to do it. And so you need to find something that you like to do that's enjoyable and that you can work into your lifestyle. So Move Your Way sort of brings all of that together.
And I know that's where the team concept kind of comes into play here is the fact that you have that support group, but you also have that group that wants you to accomplish your goal so that they can accomplish their goal. So you have a little bit of incentive, I guess, to get out there on maybe the day you don't feel necessarily like walking as far as you normally do, but just get out there and do a little bit.
Right. It's that kind of nudge that you can get from a teammate, from a friend, and it doesn't have to be all at one time. You can figure out ways throughout your day to get a 15-minute walk in maybe, or a little bit of activity, and do that several times a day instead of all in one consecutive 30 minutes or 45 minutes.
Well, and sometimes that kind of helps clear your brain out, too, doesn't it? When you break it up and, you know, I know a lot of people like to, well, I've got to exercise for 60 minutes or 90 minutes and I'm going to do it all at once. But for me, I'd rather do something about 15 minutes or 20 minutes and do it several times a day because it kind of makes me re-energized.
Right. And it brings some clarity, I think, in your mind is something that you're not quite sure about or you need some time to think. It's a good way to get away and really can, like you say, clear your mind and help you think a little bit more clearly.
As people think about organizing their teams, if they haven't done that already, a lot of times it's coworkers, friends. That's kind of the place to start.
It can be whoever you feel a connection to. Coworkers are very popular teams, our workplace teams. Coworkers, friends, family, they don't have to be in the same county or the same state or even the same country. With the virtual connection we have now, doing it online, we have people that participate from all over the world. So if you have a friend or family member that lives far away, think about bringing them into your team as a way to just get a little bit more connected and be able to support each other that way as well.
Each team will have a captain, so the team members report their minutes to the captain, and then they pass those along?
No, actually, we have a team captain, but their minutes are all reported online direct. So each person that signs up has their own portal where they enter their minutes of activity. They can also indicate if they've done any strengthening activities. That's part of the guidelines, too, is to do strengthening activities at least 2 days per week. And then we also ask them to log how many cups of fruits and vegetables they eat. And then it's optional, but if they want to also log the amount of water consumed, they can do that. And so that's all in their portal. Also inside their portal are lots of resources provided either by us through the state or locally by their local agent. And there are some, maybe not as many events and activities going on because we're still under some guidelines because of COVID, but we'll be doing more things virtually. So those events and even some local group walks or other kinds of events that are going on, some poker walks, that kind of thing are happening. I've seen some of those already in the system. If you don't have access to a computer, you can do, as you were talking about, how we used to run the program many, many years ago, where you report to your captain and then they can report the minutes for you.
Last year, there was an emphasis on the Mediterranean-style eating. And how did that work out? What was the reaction to that?
Last year was really fun because we were able to look at the Mediterranean eating style that was part of the blue zones. And we've talked about the blue zones where there are areas in the world where people live predominantly longer and healthier lives. And so we looked at those areas. We looked at what the 9 common traits were of people that live in the blue zones. And so I am going to kind of loop people back to those newsletters through this program. They're all posted on walkkansas.org. They can read about the common traits of people that live in the blue zones, and that is going to be one of our focuses for a week. When we look at Alzheimer's, we're going to also look at the country, a little tiny place in Greece called Ikaria, where there's a very, very low rate of Alzheimer's, and we'll look at why is that? So what is happening there that might be different than what's happening here?
You always get a lot of feedback, and it's always positive feedback. What are some of the stories that maybe came out from last year?
We've had stories throughout the whole time that we've been doing Walk Kansas. I might mention that the first statewide program was in 2001. So we've had quite a long run already with Walk Kansas. And so we welcome people who are new. We welcome people that come back year after year. We've heard stories anywhere from someone who participated as a young girl who has credited the program for her being able to live a much healthier life and practice healthier habits into her adulthood. One of the points of the Blue Zones is having a sense of purpose. And so we've had people talk about how they had really focused on that before when they hadn't in the past.
For those who haven't registered yet, what's the process?
The way to register, if you're going to be part of a team, is to form your team first before you go online to register. If you don't have a team and would like to be on one, you can register individually and the local office can place you on a team. But it's best for the team captain to go in and register at walkkansas.org. It'll take you to our online system. The team captain will enter the email addresses for their team mates, and then the system will send an email to each person for them to set up their own portal at that point. The cost is $10 per person. Those who are working toward Health Quest credits through their insurance program, most of those are State of Kansas employees. They can participate at no charge and will receive 4 Health Quest credits for participating. And if they fall into that category, we encourage them to contact their local office to make sure they can go through that process and not pay the fee.
walkkansas.org, and all the information is there, and all the past information as well, as you were talking about, the videos, the newsletters, all the information.
Right. You can get a sense of what the program is about. The newsletters are posted there year after year, so there's quite a bit of information. Also some videos that can be helpful to be able to do certain strengthening exercises, some on just general walking, posture and technique, and also some very basic beginner yoga poses in one of the videos. And so those kinds of things can be found there. We also invite you to like our Facebook page. It's Kansas State University Walk Kansas.
That's Sharolyn Jackson, a K-State Research and Extension Family and Consumer Science Specialist and the State Coordinator of Extension's Walk Kansas program. To learn more about this annual 8-week physical activity and healthy eating program, visit walkkansas.org or contact your local county or district extension office. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman, and this is the K-State Radio Network.